So with the Sinking City hitting the Nintendo Switch and being a third-party port, sometimes this leaves Switch gamers a little worried just because, honestly, we don't know if the game's going to be a buggy mess, if the game's going to run properly. We have no idea what's going to go on with the game, and half the time you really have to wait for a review or to see some gameplay before you actually pick the game up. So this is actually my first time playing the Sinking City, so I'm actually going to give you guys how I feel about the port, how the performance is, and then I'm also going to talk about the details of the actual game itself. So sit tight in this review and let's go ahead and jump right into it.
You know how much I love that Nintendo Switch!
What's going on, Switch fan? It's your boy QKG, and today let's talk the Sinking City because honestly, I had my eyes on this game ever since I saw the E3 trailer, just because it just looked like that type of game that could hook you, boy. So I had to make sure I kept my eye on the game, and then I heard it was coming to Switch, and I'm like, okay, this game will probably end up coming out sometime later on in the winter, or it's probably going to end up popping up like early November or probably like late December or anything like that. And it actually popped up in September, so that was actually pretty interesting. So the whole game is centered around Cthulhu lore. So to be honest with you, I ain't know shit about Cthulhu lore before this game even came out. I didn't even know how to pronounce the name. I was calling it Cthulhu. I don't know what I was calling it, but all in all, I hadn't knew anything about the Cthulhu lore. And jumping headfirst into the game, you're playing as Charles Reed, which is playing a private investigator, and he's traveling to the city of Oakmont, which has this high amount of just weird things going on, to where the whole city is flooded and you have these weird creatures just flying around, and people are having these weird like episodes to where they're constantly having headaches, they're losing their mind, they're fighting and killing each other, and then it's going crazy. And then to top it all off, you yourself are having these weird visions of either waking up underneath the sea or just having this weird beast that looks like a squid or octopus looking over you. So the whole game in itself is surrounded by the whole Cthulhu lore in itself. So all in all, when it comes down to the story, I must say the story is definitely top notch in this game. I have noticed, and really caught me by surprise, because I didn't look up any gameplay on this thing. All I heard was it's more of like a third person type of story driven like slash thriller horror game in a way. So the whole game is gonna have a dialogue tree. So when I saw that there were multiple different things I can say similar to The Witcher, I got instantly excited, because this holds a lot of room for a lot of replayability. You can replay the game doing different decisions. If you want to be an asshole, you can be an asshole. If you want to be the nice guy, you can be the nice guy. But what makes this game really special is that these decisions are very difficult to make, because it really made me think, especially when going through the whole EOD thing and figuring out who poisoned the fish and why they poisoned the fish, and then come to find out he wants you to poison the fish because there's a bigger scheme going on, but then at the same time you don't know whether to believe him or not. It makes it very, very difficult to make decisions. There were plenty of times where I literally had to pause the game, hit the home screen, and literally think like, damn, I don't know what to do, because sometimes I'm afraid if I make the wrong decision, something drastically horrible can go on. So I just want to make sure that I'm making the right decisions that I need to make, because you're going to get different endings depending on the decisions that you make in the game. And the voice acting in the game is definitely very well done, to be honest with you. Like, having the different characters have so much personality to them, and just the overall look of certain characters, they kind of look, some characters honestly can look a little cartoony, but then when you see the Anselmouthers, when they're these like fish hybrid human type like people, and they just look so ugh. And then having Mr. Thogmorton and how he's like an ape hybrid, it's so interesting. When I first saw the game, I'm like, this is really interesting. And just overall, the story just performs in everything that I had like expectations for, which honestly wasn't too much, as long as there was a dialogue tree or the story was semi-interesting. But to be honest with you, the story over-delivers in those areas. So let's talk about the performance of the game. This is where I got a little surprised. If you have been looking forward to The Witcher 3, honestly, it's very hard to tell right now by looking at the gameplay of The Witcher 3. These are kind of neck and neck, but I will say The Witcher 3 looks a little bit better than this game. And this game runs pretty decent. There were a little bit of times where I have had some frame drops here and there, or you'll be walking around the city and you'll notice that the grass will start to spawn as you move a little bit further on into the map. And this game is open world too. It's a very, very huge area, And with it being open world, you're going to have certain areas that are completely flooded to where you can only travel by boat, and you'll have certain areas where they're infested to where they're going to have different monsters here and there. But I will say the game holds a steady 30 frames per second, but I will not lie, there are definitely times where it could dip depending on what area you're in or how fast you may be moving into a new area. But all in all, the game has handled itself pretty well in my opinion, but those frame drops are definitely there. So I know what you may be thinking, what does this game do to spice up the gameplay if it's really story driven? So I will say, if you think of LA Noire mixed in with the Evil Within, that's pretty much the combination that we get here. So the gameplay in itself gives you plenty of things to shoot, because there are areas in the game to where they're infested, and you literally have to move and maneuver through these areas to where monsters are either trying to spit stuff at you or trying to eat you. So you either have to shoot them or avoid them. Or there's just certain areas throughout the entire city to where there's certain doors that's marked with the H that have no location to them. You can walk in there, loot the materials, or you can either kill all the enemies in there, or you can just loot the materials and get out. Because the ammo in this game is going to be scarce. Literally, the ammo in the game, you have to craft each individual bullet. So when you actually scavenge through your menu, you're going to get through your case menu, which you can also just look through like different evidence points to help you solve that case. And then you actually have a crafting system. So whenever you find different materials like gunpowder and like shell casings, you can actually craft those items just to forge a bullet. So if you're literally that type of character that wants to just kill and spray everything, this is not the game for you, because especially if you're not accurate, you're just wasting all your ammo and you never know when exactly you're going to need it. Now I will say the gun selection in this game, I would say it's short and sweet, because you get the regular M911 pistol, you get the Thompson submachine gun, you get a nasty revolver, and you even get a shotgun in the game, which a shotgun in any type of survival horror game is your best friend. But of course you will need to find it within the story. So I will say the game didn't leave me to the point where I'm like, dang, I wish I had more weapons. To be honest with you, the pistol was my best friend in this game. Especially when I played Resident Evil 4, the pistol was literally my best friend in the game. That's literally one of the games that made me really love that handgun so much. It made me stick with it so much. But the overall amount of times you find bullets in this game, it gets a little scarce. Make sure when you go through certain houses, make sure you loot as much material as you can. Make sure you actually use your unlock tree, because this game actually goes by experience points. So by you solving cases and just fulfilling certain duties when it comes down to doing certain things in the dialogue tree, you want to make sure that you spend your unlock points wisely. So when you have 1,000 XP, you actually get a knowledge point. And when you have this knowledge point, you can actually use it to unlock certain nodes within your unlock tree with certain abilities, like, oh, carry 7 more bullets for your pistol, or not take fall damage, or anything of that nature. So it gives you certain things that you can do within the game, certain buffs, certain power-ups here and there. Make sure you definitely scroll through that, because the actual upgrade tree is going to have something for more of an offensive player who's going to be doing more a lot of shoot heavy gameplay, and then you're going to have the more mindful player, then you're going to have the more just kind of neutral player too. So make sure you look through your unlock tree to figure out which way you want to handle the game. So I will say this game is pretty straightforward when it comes down to the structure of the game, but sometimes for more casual players, you may see yourself getting a little bit stuck in the game, not knowing exactly what to do. But to be honest with you, as long as you just investigate everything, pick up anything that you see, you're not going to have that much of a tough time. But for more casual players, it may come as more of a challenging game for them. So if you're new to the channel, we actually rate the games on the QKG scale. You actually use phrases instead of numbers. So we start off at the bottom as a what happened, like if the game is just straight booty cheeks, and then we move up to a meh, like I didn't like it, a needs work, a decent, a Fuego boy, if the game is absolute fire. And I have to say, just by me diving into the Sinking City and how much I've really been playing this game, and not like I've been forcing myself to play the game, just because the game is just absolutely interesting. I like the whole Cthulhu lore about the game. I absolutely love the environment. I will say the Switch port has been done pretty well, but you will notice that this is definitely the weakest version of the game. So if you want to play this game in all of its glory, definitely pick it up on PC, or pick it up on like PS4 Pro or Xbox One X or anything like that. But if you own a Switch and you don't have any of those other consoles, this is actually a pretty solid port, no matter if the game looks muddy in certain areas or not. But it's still a pretty solid port for it being one of the newer games out. So I have to honestly say this game is absolute fire, because I've really been enjoying this game, because I've just been making sure if I have free time, I dive into the game. I want to solve some cases. I just want to dive into the story more, get more in the lore. It gives you so much content within the game, and then just the dialogue trees that you have, it gives you a lot more replayability. So if you want to play the game in a certain way, you can do it your first run, and then the second run you can play the game a whole completely different way. And there's so many different branching ways that you can actually tackle the story. So when you get all the evidence in the game and you conclude it and you get the case, you can actually break some of those pieces up and you can change certain things. Like when there's all the people who are locked in a cave and their minds are going crazy because of the Cthulhu freaking artifacts they found, you can either leave them there to die or you can find a way to save them. And then whenever you lock in certain decisions, you can't go back on that and try to change it up again. So it literally gives you different ways for you to tackle the game if you want to do different playthroughs. So I will have to say that this game, especially being on Switch, is a very, very clean port. I've been really enjoying the Sinking City, so I have to say the game's fire. So I would love to thank you guys for tuning into this review, and as always, make sure you leave those comments down below if there's any games you want me to review next, or if there's any games you want your boy to just to play on the channel for some Let's Plays. Leave it down in the comments down below, because I know, especially Infernal Tim and all the other homies on the Switch fam, I know you guys have been wanting me to play Friday the 13th, and I'm really, really thinking about getting this game because Borderlands 3 is out, man, and I have not picked it up yet. I need this game. I'm fiending for it. But I would love to thank you guys for tuning in. This is your boy QKG, and peace out.